Alright, so it's Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018 at 7:15. I'll call the meeting to order, and the first thing we'll do is stand for a moment of silent reflection. So prior to the start of our meeting, we had a closed session, and that was in section 239(2)G, which is labor relations, and we have one motion coming out of that closed session for our advisory report. Jenna, if you want to read that motion.
Sure. Resolve that council directs staff to review and provide revised policies as recommended as discussed in closed session.
Okay, mover and seconder for that. Deputy Mayor Stockman and Councilor Hendricks. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Moving along our agenda, is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none, we're going to go into our one-time event for our meeting today, which is at 7:15. At this time, we have John Paul Minton, and it's regarding the second dwelling request. JP, if you want to just go to the seat there, and you can address council.
Good evening. I'm just here to share some concerns and questions about the bylaw, the temporary use bylaw, and I just have a few questions. First, I'm here as a question: am I allowed to address anything specific as far as an application on, or is it to talk about the bylaw as it pertains to this, citizens, or can I address a specific application, like someone? You guys.
If I may, council has not received your application yet,
Okay.
as the meeting isn't until the next session. Yes, so they don't know the specifics of your application at this point.
Okay. No, I just, so some of the questions I had was, does it, like, it costs the citizen to apply for this application? You guys are voting on it today, is that correct? As whether to pass it today, or is it not passed until next time?
It's passed at the April 16th meeting.
But on my personal one, but the actual, it's not for 2 weeks yet? So are you guys discussing?
Your application is in 2 weeks.
No, the actual bylaw. Is it being voted on today?
Your bylaw is specific to your application?
No, just
and
as
there's only one bylaw specific to your application, and that will be at the next regular meeting.
What he's asking is the change, not the zoning bylaw, the process before was like $10,000, and the process now is going to be going through the temporary use bylaw.
Yes.
And that was approved
at the last meeting.
So it's been approved already?
Yes.
It's not being voted on today?
No.
Okay. So then I guess, is there anything I'm able to ask that would make an effect on that or not then? Like, am I able to ask questions about that change and it won't make any difference though?
You can ask questions.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me go on. So it costs, from what I understand, $1,600 to make the application, is that correct?
Yes.
So one of the things I was wondering was, is there some sort of way that it was come up with that number, or was it just kind of taken from a different situation that somebody else is using, is what I was kind of wondering.
All zoning bylaw applications are $1,600. We went through an exercise to adjust the cost to make sure they were reflective of the actual costs associated with processing an application.
Okay, so that's more for the legal fees of the actual application. It has nothing to do with what happens later. It's just to get that application to go through all legally. Okay. Okay. No. And that started taking effect then. Like that process change is now. I'm going to be the first one with our situation next in 2 weeks from now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when I asked before, I wasn't able to address a specific one because mine's not for 2 weeks. But I guess it's hard to do that and ask my question. So. What I was asking when I said, when does it take effect? It actually doesn't take effect. It took effect once you guys passed it. So anybody applying from now on has to go through this process. But one of the issues that came up while we did it was that the application was set before that date. Like I was asking for permission before that date. So then it's just interesting that it wasn't addressed with the rules and regulations at that time. It was kind of held and presented as going to be part of the new change, when I really was asking for permission beforehand, and I didn't even know about this change. But so that was where my situation kind of confused me that I was asking for, I should have been addressed with the same rules and regulations at the time and not held, and now I have to wait until 2 weeks to see if I'm gonna have to pay the $1,600 to talk about it then. So I just didn't know, if anyone could clarify why that happened and whether or not if there was anything that could be done about it.
So I think what you're getting at is that you requested for the secondary dwelling prior to council's change.
Yeah.
And wondering why you're having to pay the $1,600 for the.
And why it's being, like, if I'm asking for the application or the permission, before this, I even got approved or presented on that Monday, I asked beforehand, and it kind of stalled for a week. Like, I had the dates of when we asked, and we first got, I was asked to bring a map, or asked to bring all the stuff that I would need it for the normal way of doing it, and then it kind of, I got it to them right away, waited, and then it wasn't until the Monday that they actually took a check and the application, but the meeting wasn't until Monday night that you guys actually brought this up. So to me, it was interesting that it was almost in a sense putting it before it was actually brought to council. So that was what was confusing to me, that I couldn't have just been addressed in the way the rules and regulations were set. And instead, it was kind of, we put a check through, we did the whole application, and then I found out that it wasn't until that night that they were actually proposing that to council. So it just seemed like it was being done before you guys actually said that's the way it should be done. So I thought that was just backwards. So I just wondered if this project is going to be, if it cannot be treated as though it was asked for before. That's what I was trying to ask.
If I may, temporary use bylaw just secures the right for you to have 2 houses on one property. Under the zoning bylaw, is not allowed. So we don't allow 2 houses on one property. We haven't revised our official plan to accommodate any provincial policies that are there. The provincial policy would allow you to build the house that you're requiring anyway, because it has to be a certain size. It's for mainly like granny suites. So in order to ensure that you have a right to have that house there, we needed a formal process to go through. We did one not too long ago, and we're now into the extension of the very first granting of the request. So we need to have a more formalized process because we're going to be turning over, there's going to be a new council, staff is turning over, so we have to make sure that we have a way to track those so it doesn't happen that 2 houses get built, one doesn't get torn down. So this is a formal process that's going to be applied to all second dwellings on the same lot.
So, but before this was proposed on that Monday, what was the way you guys did it? So you guys were able to just make an agreement with the person who was building a temporary second dwelling and tearing it down. So you made an agreement between the owner and the council, and then they had a $10,000 deposit from what I understand. And they got that $10,000 back if they put the house up. And that's how it works. So my only concern was that that's what we thought we were going to do, and that's what we were told up until the moment we showed up here to sign a form, and then it turned out to be a full application of $600. That's what was confusing to us, and to me, if that's what we were understood until the moment we showed up here on the day before the meeting, that's why we thought, you know, it makes sense that we should be treated as before. That's what we're still wondering why that had to be held off and not addressed like everybody else did. So like, at one point, from what I understand, what was the deposit amount? It got switched to $10,000. Do you know how long ago that was?
The last one.
The last one. So it went up to $10,000 as more of a incentive because there was issues where people just didn't tear the second house down. So so you put it at $10,000, and now you have $10,000 and an application fee. So you have both. You have the legal grounds to go at somebody if they're not taking that second house down. Why do we still need the $10,000?
Unfortunately, we don't have legal grounds without going through the zoning bylaw enforcement. So that can be up to $25,000. So you would be fined up to $25,000, and we would have to take legal action. So we'd have to go through a lawyer, and there'd be cost added to the municipality. So this is just a clear way. You get a 2-year permission to have that house there, and then after 2 years, you sign an agreement to have it torn down. Because right now we have no agreement with the person to tear it down.
But if once we fill this application, if we pay $1,600 and you have all the paperwork, is the $10,000 still needed? Is what the question was. Like if I agree,
absolutely.
Yes.
Of course.
There's still no. If you
Why would that change?
After 2 years, it's still just a paper agreement, and you have an agreement, and if you decide not to tear it down, then we need a legal ability to do that. So that's through the agreement, as well as the $10,000 is the incentive to accommodate and make sure that the building is torn down within the 2-year time period.
I understand. I see what you're saying. To me, it seems interesting that in agreement you couldn't have the time frame already set that once it's not done. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're saying an agreement to tear it down, but you don't have a timeline, in that agreement couldn't it say the time frame?
The agreement is 2 years. Yes, the agreement is for 2 years. You have a 2-year period to get your new house built and have the old house torn down. And the $10,000 is our security that the second dwelling is going to be torn down and that it's going to be cleaned up to the satisfaction of the building inspector.
So there's a security as far as you have the paperwork, and then a security as just you have some of the money. Is that the idea? Right?
Yes.
Takes an application to apply for a house and to get rid of the second dwelling. And we want to make sure, no matter who it is, that the second dwelling disappears. And years ago, we had an issue with this. And this county decided to put $10,000 up front to make sure you tear it down. If you don't, it becomes $25,000. That is really simple. An application to apply, which we have to cover as an expense. You're paying, you're applying, you should be paying for this. And I want to make sure that you tear that house down. If it was up to me, I would make it 25 instead of 10.
Well,
Is that clear?
We have no problem paying the 10, but it's just, what's the $1,600 for?
To apply, to have it torn down.
So
Or to
it's
apply to build another house.
When
the
you applied
16
for the permit before this before it was actually through council?
So the $1,600 is for the temporary use bylaw to allow for the
Yes.
second dwelling, and the $10,000 is to be an incentive and also to ensure
To
that
make
the
sure
second
it gets
house
torn
is
down.
torn down.
And that's it.
It's just
It's real simple.
Oh, I know. The difficult part was that we asked for all the application before you made the changes. So to charge me $1,600 before there was ever, the council was even presented with the idea, that doesn't sound right to me. We had to give you a check and fill out the application before it was even proposed to you guys. How does that make sense? That doesn't make sense.
so the issue that JP is saying is that at our council meeting on March 19th, he came in to get a second dwelling prior to council changing the process.
So
That
how
is
long
his-
prior?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I became aware of it the week before.
So March 7th was the first time I spoke to the building inspector, and that's when he told me exactly what he needed. Said I need most likely a $10,000 deposit, and there was no mention of applications or anything. Then I got him everything he needed, his maps, everything that he asked for, a letter, everything that was asked for, I got it to him. March 14th he stopped in, asked for us just to sign the letter just so it would be more official for council. March 15th he phoned Kaiser Gary's head, John Peters, asking if we can come in and sign a form, more official. Still no mention of $1,600 application. So he said, please come in Monday. So we came in the Monday morning, and then when we got here, that's when he informed us we need to apply with an application. We feed $1,600, and so we completed the form, no questions asked, paid for it. We thought about it throughout the day, said, that's interesting. So I looked into it. It was not even going to be proposed till that night. So we weren't informed until the day of. And it's the Monday that, of the council meeting, we had to give a check. They cashed the check already, so our application hasn't gone through, but they have our check and their money. So it just seems weird that, it was stalled, and then we did everything they asked, and it was still not even proposed, but they took our application and money. That's where the issue is, in my opinion.
If I may, the $1,600 is the application fee. So we process the application fee when we're ready to circulate your application. So your application has been circulated. The reason why it was done on the 19th was because if we waited, your request would have gone to council on the 19th, and it would have been recommended that it be refused because of you're not allowed to have 2 dwellings on one property. So we needed to get a mechanism to have this in place so it's properly addressed through our zoning bylaw. You wouldn't have been able to get your building permit. The building inspector cannot issue a permit for 2 houses on one property. So it would have to go on to council on the 19th. So then you would have had got the decision that we would have recommended, and hopefully council would have supported staff that the recommendation be to do the temporary use bylaw, and you would have had to wait until the next meeting, which would be May 19th or May 16th. before your application would be heard. So we're trying to accommodate you and expedite your application so that you didn't have to wait till May to find out if your zoning bylaw will be approved or not. So that was to accommodate you, and we worked extra hard. We actually took the application in contravention to what we normally do. You have to have it in by the 10th of the month prior to be heard at the next meeting. And yours came in after that, but we expedited it through the system so that you would have your building permit within the 20 days after the 16th of April.
Okay, that was never explained at the time, but I just meant, if at March 7th he had everything he had, and the 19th is when they voted, if it was addressed the way it was, it would have had lots of time to be ready for that meeting. Why would they, like, you're saying that you hope that council would have voted against it as what you were expecting, but you never gave them the chance. What if they, I don't know, it just seems interesting that it's still odd that there was an application and a fee. That's where it was just confusing. If that's the way they go.
Commissioner Stockman?
I could see John Paul's point, that he'd gone through the whole process and then the process changed partway through. So I can certainly see the point. And realizing that the previous application is directly related to JP, I can see why there is some concern there.
We were under the consumption that we just were coming in to sign a legal document saying that we were going to tear it down, and we gladly paid the 10,000, tear the house down, we get our 10 back, but we just don't get the 1,600 back, which we both agreed to tear down the house, but
It's weird that, like, for people who want to just build a new house and move their family to the house, it's just very difficult. Like, it's just making it more difficult for the odd time that somebody doesn't. Everybody else is getting penalized now by having to pay 10 grand and 1,600, and I don't know. It's just for the people that want to just do it right now. There's all that extra cost for them. That's just kind of frustrating. So
The issue at the end of the day is that council, we should have been using the temporary use bylaw. We just weren't doing it correctly. So now council has put in the proper procedures to do that. The only issue is that you've been caught between the two. That's really the issue.
So
I think council is. I'm not sure what their thoughts are. If they're the same thought of Nick of, you're stuck in the middle. I understand why you're frustrated and why you're here. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, by council, but I think we're going to be proceeding with the temporary use bylaw for your application as it is. But the council, anyone else wants to speak to that? Deputy Mayor Stockman?
I guess because JP had put this process in motion before we got the bylaw, I would look at saying yours, JP's was before, so it's 10,000 without the 1,600. That would be my thought. Anyone that came in after the 19th meeting, definitely. But the one before, that would be my thought.
Any other thoughts? Councilor McKinnon?
I can appreciate the fact that he's caught in between the dates as well. And I'm torn between whether we should waive the fee or not. On the 7th, you said you spoke to Jeff Denemy and he didn't make you aware of the application fee, or was it the temporary use?
there was no application or fee until we were notified until the morning of the 19th of that meeting. So it was from the 7th when I talked to him first and I gave him all the maps and everything. It wasn't until 12 days later that we were actually informed when we were here that there was going to be an application and a fee. We had no knowledge of it until then. So it was 12 days. Like I was hoping by that point they'd be going to council and they would approve it. But you're saying there's still other bylaw stuff, but I'll leave it to council.
Either.
Yeah, if I may, there also are different circumstances with this property. When we look at the ownership, we also investigate the property, the ownership, the location of the building, the ability to get a severance if it's a surplus dwelling. So all of those factors also play into this, and this just ensures that there's not going to be a change of decision. Yes, they want to tear the house down, but there's nothing to make them tear it down once it's built. So then we have to go back and go through the process with the legal process that we would have to go through to enforce the zoning bylaw. So it's just a matter of making sure that everything is in place, that's proper. I did speak with Jeff Denham. He did come to me and say he's got another surplus farm dwellings, or second dwelling on a farm. And I said, well, we need to get the process in place. And I thought he had spoke with you and let you know what the process was and what it was. But I do believe he was out on the 15th and spoke to you.
Yep, but there was still no mention of that.
Yeah.
He phone called. Did he call you? He called you.
Councillor McKinnon?
I agree with the 10,000 security, we need that. It shouldn't be up to the rest of the ratepayers to have to cover if we have to take Mr. Minton to court. The only thing I'm questioning is whether we could waive the $1,600 application, and that's just to throw out for council's consideration.
Any other thoughts from council? Councillor Sanders? Hendricks?
Hey, we sat there and argued half an hour over $1,600. I don't care either way. It's not worth the argument. It's not worth. If council, if you guys decide to waive it, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's fine with me. There's an error made somewhere here. I'm not going to blame anybody.
No.
And yeah. If you want to waive it, it's fine with me. I don't have a problem with it. But certainly $10,000 is staying.
Yes,
Obviously.
the security deposits.
Well, it has to be.
Okay.
So,
I'm assuming Councillor McKinnon or Deputy Stockman?
Just one final point. I have enough trust in the honesty and integrity of both individuals that I would waive the $1,600 because we were partway through the process.
So would somebody care to
do
make
we need a motion for this
Yeah.
or what?
Yes.
Nick?
So moved.
Okay, and seconder,
I'll second.
Councillor McKinnon. And the motion will, can we have it in there that it connects back to the application fee for the minor variance?
For the minor variance?
Or the temporary use, yeah.
So
Application fee only.
Resolve that council waive the $1,600 application fee for the temporary use zoning bylaw amendment.
Should we know what number it is?
Zoning bylaw amendment, to temporary use bylaw.
We need the due to this.
ZBA 05-2018.
And then in there due to,
Do
Due
the
to
time
time
frame.
conflict or
Timing issues.
Timing
issue.
issues,
Yeah.
of the change in process. We need to have it in there. So it's not our timing issue, it's the timing issue of the process change. Want to read that out loud again?
Sure. Resolve that council waive the $1,600 application fee for zoning bylaw amendment 05-2018 due to timing issues of the process changes.
Okay, and that was moved by Deputy Stockton and seconded by Councillor McKinnon. Is there any further discussion? Nope. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Thank you very much, and sorry about the whole issue of the process, but
Thank you.
just be clear, going forward, we will be using that fee for the temporary use. Okay, so we're gonna jump back into our minutes of our previous meetings. We had March 19th, 2018, and our special council meeting for our budget, March 21st, 2018. Do we have a mover and seconder for those? Councilor McKinnon and Councilor Hendricks. Is there any errors or omissions?
I did send mine in to Jennifer.
And they were just
It's to do with the zoning bylaw amendment for Wiersma. I thought we did 3 readings of that one because everything was already in.
We did. The recommendation on the report was when the third reading wouldn't be given until the application was there. When it was circulated, we did not have, the report was circulated, we did not have the reference plan, but we did give it 3 readings because it did come in the meantime. So he was given his 3 readings that night.
But it was just written in as 2 readings only, so.
That was the recommendation from the planner that was approved.
Okay, is there anything else? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. Going to correspondence, the first section there is upcoming conferences, seminars, and meetings. So our next upcoming meetings on April 16th, May 7th, and May 22nd. And then item number 4 there is the 2018 AMO conference flyer. The next one is the 2018 Global Methane Forum. Item number 6 is from Stratford Caredoc, and it's their zoning bylaw amendment 6 of 2018, which I believe was. Okay, CC3. Sorry, I'm going through the list on the numbers on the side. Sorry, I'll start calling them differently. So, and then CC4, which is the Stratford Civic Night. Sorry, what are you on?
No, I was, you were saying different numbers.
I was saying the numbers on the side here, but I will start saying CC1 and so on. Councillor Hendricks?
Just for curiosity, Stratford Caredoc's bylaw amendment that's nowhere near Adelaide Metcalfe. Is that just because we're the neighboring township?
I'm assuming because it said Adelaide Road, someone just sent it through.
I kind of wondered.
Yeah, I'm assuming it said Adelaide Road and they just thought Adelaide Metcalfe and sent it through.
Yeah, that's an average. Yeah.
I couldn't understand any other reason why we would have been.
Okay. So moving on to the next section there, which is the recommended readings. CC5, the Solid Vehicle Conservation Authority minutes.
Found it interesting that they had to cancel the flood meeting because of flood.
CC6, the Regular Technical Association, the March 2018 minutes. CC7, Sylvia Jones, MVP, the Asset Management Plan requirements. Item 8, St. Clair Region Conservation Authority, their 2017 annual report and meeting. Item 9, the Hydro 1, is their provincial line maps. Item 10, from Middlesex County, the acknowledgement and acceptance letter of our opening amendment, number 11. Item 11, from CPSO, the Council Award for 2019. And then item number 12, which is the notice of decision for 39, the Adelaide Metcalfe OPA 11, March 27th, or March 27th, 2018. And we have one action item, which is from the Middlesex Home Health Unit. It's the 2018 mosquito larva siding. Thank you. Can we get a motion for that? Councilor Hendricks and Councilor McKinnon. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, I'm going to just send a motion to resolve the council receive and file correspondence items CC1 to CC12. Councilor Sanders and Councilor Stockman. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Hop into our staff reports, and our first one's from our public works manager. Yeah.
Okay, first report, I just wanted a couple of things just to update council on some activities and some that are taking place in the public works department. We did have a culvert, road crossing culvert fail on Wood Road. We patched it up to hold it temporarily. We'll get it fixed the first of April. The reason I bring this up is because Wood was reconstructed, and at the time we were constructing this culvert was deemed in good shape. As
Big fail.
Yes, so, so anyways, I just thought everybody should be aware of that.
Yeah, that surprised me, all of a sudden, a new culvert on Wood Road, we just redone that.
It wasn't a new culvert, it was a.
No, but that culvert,
A
that should have
culvert
been
that was
replaced.
deemed okay when the construction process went
Right.
through. and
That,
Yeah.
that happened during that big rain though, didn't it?
Yes,
The big
during the
mountain
big
rain.
flood. Yeah.
Cause it's a huge chunk of pavement.
Yeah, yeah, so anyways, I just thought everybody should be aware. Now, obviously, Wood is shared with Middlesex Center, so we'll notify them and it'll be a shared cost. It's a small culvert, 15-inch, the financial impact of it is not
No,
huge, but it's just the idea of ripping up Wood Road is not the greatest. Second thing, our tree inspections will take place in April. I'll put a list together and we'll send out a quotation on tree removal. Hopefully have that by the 1st of May going out. So a lot easier to inspect the trees with no leaves on than with leaves on them. Spring grading.
Yeah, but you don't know which branches are dead or which branches are alive.
Well, if there's no bark on them, we'll have enough. Spring grading and hardtop patching are obviously taking place. It's priority into March 1st of April. Lastly, there's a the spring joint meeting of AORs is taking place in Woodstock. And I've attached at the bottom the agenda. If anybody from council would like to join me going down, you can see some of the speakers that are there, and I just thought I'd throw that out. It's obviously open to councils and representatives. So.
Okay, is there any questions on Jeff's update report? No. Okay. So we just need a motion to resolve that council accepts the Public Works Manager's information report as prepared by the Public Works Manager. Okay, Councillor Hendricks and Councillor McKinnon, all those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried.
Okay, second report is the 2018 annual Safe Driving Rodeo for the area is being planned presently. It'll take place April 26th in Woodstock. This is basically what we've attended the last few years. It's put on by a number of the counties in this area, southwestern Ontario, which Coulter won and was able to go on to the provincials and then I won it. So I'm looking for councils to approve that I can send the guys to this. The financial impact will be, if all staff do attend, it'll be $220.
So moved.
Okay, Deputy Stockman and seconded by Councillor Sanders. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Now we're expecting one of them to come back with a big trophy. Now that there's a standard set.
Or incentive for Richard to be.
Okay, third, another report is the Kerwood Wind request to use Seed Road. This is a little more serious. One of the windmills needs a repair off Seed Road, and they've...
One right here, right?
Yeah, it's not running.
A lot of them don't run.
So they requested, they sent a letter in requesting to use Egremont, from Egremont into their private access road on Seed. I guess Kathy and I have talked about this, and this is not, has happened before, and we requested a $75,000 deposit, and that they follow the rules of where they're going, and we'll keep an eye on them. Let us know when they're coming and when they're leaving, and we'll keep an eye on the road. So I'm looking for council to approve this, the use of the road, due to the half load time of the year. I'm looking for that sort of thing.
Do you have a mover for that?
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Pinnon, and seconded by Councillor Sanders. Any discussion? Deputy Stockman?
Just a question, why can't they do it in the summer?
You know, I asked, I asked because 3 weeks, they wouldn't have to ask us for permission, they could come in. And Kathy, we talked about it, and it is that important for them, whether it's the lack of generation or the time of bringing the crane in. It has to be used the big crane, so they need the application, and they're more than willing to follow the rules. So. I must say it is on the gravel section too. This isn't a township road, so which is good.
It's 75,000 should be lots of, well, hopefully it is, but.
If there's no more discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Okay, is there any other questions at all for Jeff? So we have a motion now to resolve that council accepts the report of the Public Works Manager as presented. Deputy Mayor Stockton and Councillor McKinnon, all those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Okay, next we have our clerk's report. Jennifer.
Thanks, Mayor Smith. This is a staff report regarding the elections. Again, lots of reports. This is pertaining to the appointment of the Compliance Audit Committee under Section 88.37 of the Municipal Elections Act 1996 as amended. Municipalities are required to appoint a Compliance Audit Committee with a minimum of 3 people and a maximum number of 7 people. I believe, Kathy, is this the same group we had in 2014?
Yes, I believe.
Okay. So this is the same group that City of London has obtained for their Compliance Audit Committee, and all 3 have been notified, and they are willing to sit on the Compliance Audit Committee. In 2014, there was no requirement for a compliance audit to do any audits. There was no requests, but we still have to have one put in place in case there are requests. There's been changes to the third-party advertisement for 2018 elections, so that's putting a little bit more onus on an audit if it's requested for that part of the elections. And basically what I'm looking for from council is the council accept the report as information received prepared by the clerk concerning the appointment of a compliance audit committee, and that council approves the appointments and remuneration as presented. And I'll go back to remuneration. It's recommended to be $100 per member per meeting plus mileage.
Thank you. And Deputy Stockton, you did note stating over there that there is one person, whereas one different person.
Cobbin as compared to Ross.
Ross. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay, so we have the recommendation there. We have a mover and seconder for it. Or
Just a question?
Yep, Councillor
I
McKinnon.
just wondered what Mr. Ross did. I know what Andrew Wright does, and I know what Christine Scrimminger does, but I wondered what Dan Ross, what his expertise was.
I believe it's in the bylaw under the terms of reference. In 2014, our bylaw did not have a terms of reference section, so this is new for this municipality to have a terms of reference. It might not be stated. I don't have that. I can get that information because the applications went into Thames Center because they were looking after organizing this.
Yeah, I just wondered what he did, what his expertise was.
Could Google, but there's probably a lot of Dan
Dan
Rosses.
Rosses, that's right.
One of them, I thought he was involved with a sports team in London or something like that.
So we have the recommendation there. Somebody wants to move that? Councillor Hendricks and Deputy Stockman. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried.
My next report is on accessibility plan for the 2018 municipal elections. Municipalities are required to have a plan put in place, and it's to meet with the Ontario Disabilities Act 2001 and the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act 2005. The municipal clerks group for Middlesex County has gotten together, and we did not review this with the accessibility coordinator, as at that time there was not one hired with Middlesex County. Since then, on Friday, March 23rd, at the last election team, we were introduced to Sam McFarland, who is the accessibility coordinator for Middlesex County and County of Elgin. And he has been appointed to look after all the lower tier municipalities as well as those counties. And I have a meeting with him April 13th, so next Friday. He will be here and he will get a copy of our accessibility plan for FYI purposes. And comments received from him will be taken into consideration, and changes to the plan will be made if needed. There's no financial implications in regards to this report. All staff have been trained, and the clerk will be appointing election staff. And the election staff appointed will be staff that has already been trained on this, so there's no additional training that will be needed. And there's no recommendation from council this time, as it's just information purposes.
Is there any questions at all on this report? No.
My next report is on the LAS workshop, Employee Engagement and Energy Awareness Programs. I was appointed to attend back in December of 2017, and this was held in Exeter. It was an interesting workshop. I could see where there would be money savings within a municipality, maybe not of our statute because we don't have any rec centers, where you would see most of your energy costs savings. And again, there's no financial impacts in regards to this report, and this is just an FYI for council, just to give you an update on the workshop that I attended.
Any questions at all?
And my last report is a petition for drainage works by owners. The attached petition was brought in, and it's pertaining to Kelly Drain. The relocation of approximately 1,000 feet of the open drain is being requested, and an engineer's report will be required. The engineer's report excuse me, will provide for apportionment of the cost for the drain. The impact on the township is not known at this time. My recommendation to council is resolved that the council of the township of Adelaide Metcalfe accept the petition for drainage works by owners as submitted for south half lot 15 concession 15 and north half lot 15 concession 14, and that Spreed Associates be appointed to determine the validity of the petition.
I'll move.
Council Sanders, seconded by Council Pinnon. Any discussion? Council Hendricks?
Not knowing exactly where this is, could this be a factor in redoing a road?
Not likely. It probably won't happen until
The drainage is done.
Yeah. Now, I don't believe it crosses the road. It's just the portion on their property. They want to realign it instead of going through. It goes diagonally through their property, and they want to take it along the fence rows as opposed to diagonally through the property.
Good thinking.
I've seen how that doesn't always work.
No, it depends on how big the hill is.
But it's a lot easier farming that way.
It is. But he would pick up the biggest cost,
Yeah.
or all of the costs.
Yeah.
Potentially all of it.
Yeah, because he's the one who wants to move it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that though, could we in the future get a little reference map so we know where the drains are?
Yeah, that would be kind of nice. I was looking for one, but I couldn't find one.
No, that's actually, Kathy and I did talk about that. It just didn't happen for this one.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so that's moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. there anything else, Jennifer?
I have nothing further.
Okay. We need a motion to resolve that council accepts the report of the clerk as presented. Deputy Mayor Stockman, seconded by Councilor Hendricks. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Okay, so we'll go into the CAO Treasurer's report. Kathy.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. The first item is the accounts approval list in the amount of $955,814.28, and that's for the time period March 15th to March 29th, 2018.
Is there any questions on the accounts? Councilor McKinnon?
Page 1, I guess, the legal expenses with the county.
Yes.
Is that for the 2 estranged employees for
No.
agreements?
One is, and the rest are just for miscellaneous legal fees throughout the year, the developing of the employment agreements, some settlements agreement work,
Okay.
just miscellaneous consultations that he provided during the year.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Hendricks?
Yeah, that was my question too, what time period were those?
It's for the whole year.
Any other questions?
Just a comment on that, is that really good accounting to wait for a whole year?
I'm assuming you're asking me. You're looking at me.
Well, you're our representative on the county.
What it means is that they're very busy in the legal office, so it's a matter of getting those bills out. So it could be done obviously more timely, but we'd rather see them working on different cases or items instead of sitting there and billing and getting them done. So that's why.
And if I may, the county has also invested in an assistant to keep these things moving through the system, as well as specialized legal software that will allow them to bill as a point of time, as opposed to waiting until the end of the year.
And that's new.
It's brand new this year, yes.
For us, hey, it's fine because we don't have to pay.
Yeah.
But for good financial management, if you let a bill run for a year, that's not what you call real good financial management.
Any other questions on the
I got
accounts?
one.
Yeah.
Quarterly payment, $479,870 to the county. What do we get for that?
That would be the county taxes. So that's
I
the
realize that. Is that just roads, bridges,
Library.
So that's
libraries?
So that's the 26 different departments from the county. So that's everything from roads, libraries, EMS, fire inspection, social services.
Now my next question is maybe that's fine. So does that go up every year as everything else does?
So that is based off of the county budget.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's anybody that gets their tax bill. There's the tax side, the itemized line for the township, the county, and then the school board. Yeah.
It's a lot of bucks.
Councilor McKinnon?
Under waste disposal landfill, 64508335, the report budget estimates 5/12/17. Was that in regards to the MOE suggestions to the changes that we had to make? To
Yes, we requested that they do the information on what it would cost for the monitoring wells and the continuing monitoring. So that is a cost for that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Motion to resolve that the accounts listing for the period March 15th to March 29th, 2018 in the amount of $955,814.28 be approved. Councilor Sanders and Councilor McKinnon. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried.
And if I may, I do have one other thing that I had forgotten to put my report in. I did it. The $10,000 we raised in 2017, $10,000 for an engineering to be done for sidewalks. So we're grant ready for sidewalks. And we did not make a motion so far. Council wanted to allocate that to reserves. So that the $10,000 is available if engineering is to be completed on a sidewalk study.
Any motion for that?
No.
Move that we put it in reserves.
Councilor Sanders, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stockman. All those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. Okay, so we need a motion to resolve the council accepts the report of the Sierra Treasurer as presented. Councilor McKinnon and Councilor Hendricks. All those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. We're moving to bylaws since our fire chief's here. Is there any questions at all for him? Anything you want to? No? Oh, different.
Any word on what you brought forth a couple of meetings ago, the rules and regulations from the province?
Yes. Some good news, actually. So March the 11th, the comment process closed. That's when it was due. That was the following day. They had a meeting. The table had a meeting, and there's 465 fire departments in the province. They had over 400 submissions. So that was good. The first thing they did, and that's the only thing they did at that meeting, was they put the grandfathering back in for all fire departments. Good. So that is something that we're really looking forward to. So we got that. And then actually today, this afternoon, I got an email with the forms. So now we can go ahead and start the grandfathering process. Grandfather those who we can, and then also they're going to have multiple meetings, and there's going to be some more changes yet. But so in the meantime, we're starting to get some of our guys interested in taking the NFPA training, and mostly for those who cannot be grandfathered. So whether it's years of service or knowledge. So we're starting that process. So far I have 3 with interest in that. And there's going to be a cost to that, but because things in these draft regulations are changing from day to day, it wasn't something that I felt comfortable put in this year's budget. And it won't happen till the end of the year, and there will be a cost to it. And of course we're hoping that the province is going to kick in some funding on this. And I have a gut feeling they will. I believe it was about 10 years ago, I don't know exactly when it was, the province gave fire departments funding towards something like this, and at the time we got $50,000. At the time, our $50,000 was put into reserves. So when we do get funding, however they want to do it, we'll deal with it at the time. Those are my thoughts on that anyway. So things are heading in the right direction.
Good.
And I did have a couple more meetings unofficially with our MPP concerning this, and he totally supports us. Now he knows what the next government's going to look like, but yeah, he's totally supporting this.
Excellent. Okay. Is there anything for other business at all? Councilor Hendricks?
Yeah, I did attend the mayor's breakfast, which our own mayor forgot. Anyways, it was very good. The guest speaker was the second Dr. Rajgopal, a younger brother who's now a foot doctor. There was a presentation by North Middlesex received a plaque in honor of their, and I didn't write it down, but it was a sizable donation. I'm thinking 40,000. Anyways, that they did that. So, and again, Todd Stepaniak just talked about progress in the hospital. So it was all good news. So.
With the funds that North Middlesex are donating to the hospital, those funds are actually coming from their community vibrancy fund that they have through their Next Era. So that's where that's how they're funding those contributions.
I was going to say, their taxes will be going up a little.
Is there anything else for other business at all? Deputy Stockman?
Just wondering, Kathy and Jennifer and Jeff Denemy went to that marijuana meeting?
Yep.
Whether
I did not attend, I was here working on the budget stuff, but Jennifer and Jeff both
Yeah,
attended.
I'll have a staff report at the next council meeting for staff if they'd like. It was interesting, but there's not a whole lot to really report because they don't really know when this is all gonna take effect other than the summer, hopefully July. So, I will have a staff report at the next council meeting.
Councilor McKinnon, or did you?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just wondered where we're at in regards to the staff performance reviews. And I know that we haven't done one on the CAO, so I'm just wondering where we're supposed to have them done by November 30th, I believe.
I believe that's right.
No, they aren't completed yet.
They're which?
They're not completed yet.
Not completed?
Deputy Stockman, do you have another?
Just a couple of questions that I thought about from this afternoon session while I was gathering this afternoon. Number one was to do with if we knew whether we had a surplus or a deficit from 17.
Auditors will be here the week of April the 16th, so we'll know for the first meeting in May.
Okay. And the second question was to do with the engineering for Scotchmere. Was that in the budget or is that somewhere else? Because what we approved today, the next step would be the engineering for Scotchmere.
No, it was not included in the budget.
That's all I had.
Anything else? Just one thing I'd update you from the last meeting at County Council. There was the report regarding 9 2nd Street, which is the former Marshall's store. So with that report, it was the recommendation was to deny the request for the laneway entrance onto 81. From that, the recommendation was moved and seconded, and I was able to get the amendment in there to ensure that if they were able to have a joint laneway going in with the motel property, that they would then be able to get an access way from 81. So hopefully they'll be able to work with the owners at the Strasbourg Motor Inn to get an entrance way on that side if they'd like to have their second entrance onto 81. And then just one other thing from County Council, we're doing something new and different. We have included the library board meetings prior to County Council, so then that way the whole County Council is involved in those board meetings because nowadays the library board is more than just books and computers. It's social services in there and different items with the comprehensive libraries. It's not just the normal what you think of a library. So those meetings that started at the previous County Council meeting. That's going to happen until the end of the council term. And the idea behind that is that if approved, the library board would be no longer in the coming council term if it was approved, and then that way all those reports would be just in county council, and it'd just be there wouldn't be a separate board for it, and then our county librarian and / CEO of the library would just become like the manager of libraries. And the idea behind it, like I said, was just so then everyone knows what's going on, because libraries are more than just what they used to be. So if you're looking online at the agenda, that's why those library meetings are happening in conjunction with County Council. Yep. So if there's nothing else for other business, we'll move into bylaws. And we need to have a motion to resolve that 3 readings. The third and final readings be given to bylaw number 38, 2017, the zoning bylaw amendment for Jacoba Dodge. Number 39, 2017 zoning bylaw amendment for Dodge Farms Limited. Zoning bylaw amendment number 5, 2018, Phillips Drain 2017. And bylaw number 6, 2018, McKean Drain 2017. And the bylaws be signed by the mayor and clerk and the corporate secretary attached. Anybody? Okay. Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Hendricks. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. And motion to resolve that all 3 readings be given to bylaw number 18, 2018, the Compliance Audit Committee, and bylaw number 19, 2018, confirmed council proceedings, and that the bylaws be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the corporate seal be attached. Okay, Deputy Stockman and Councillor Sanders. All those in favor? Opposed and carried. And a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:17. Deputy Stockman and Councillor Hendricks. All those in favor? Opposed and carried.
I